Hello, welcome to another YouTube video. My name is Paul, I'm a mind-body coach, and today I'm going to talk about resentment. I'm going to talk about resentment in relation to chronic back pain, simply because emotional work, especially deep, suppressed, repressed anger, resentment, these sorts of things have been linked to chronic conditions, chronic pain. Dr. John Sarno, a name I mention a lot, is someone whose foundational work on mind-body conditions, how the nervous system can create pain in relation to unprocessed emotions and such like. So I highly recommend, if you haven't already, checking out John Sarno's Healing Back Pain, a book he's written that very much outlines the kind of information that I'm going to share here. So I'm just kind of repeating it because resentment, anger, hateful feelings, these sorts of feelings, from my experience anyway, and many others that have benefited from Dr. John Sarno's work, are feelings that keep us in pain. Why does resentment and hateful feelings keep us in pain? My answer to that is because we're afraid to recognize it. We are afraid to recognize it. Maybe when the situations that arose in our lives that we now have resentment for came up at the time, maybe it wasn't safe for us to be angry at that time. Maybe we have been innerly frustrated with many aspects of our lives, and these can include times in our lives where maybe we've been bullied, or moving house, for instance, as well. That was something for me where I, of course, when I was a kid, I got took from one environment to another environment, which essentially was kind of an alien environment. And I had to do a lot of digging in myself in relation to the resentment I held to that decision. And that decision was on my parents. Now, of course, it's not their fault that I have resentment. They were just living their lives, and, you know, being kind and forgiving individual, I need to give a bit of leeway for mistakes to happen. The challenge is, I can tell myself that I have, forgiven it could be my parents, it could be a bully, it could be anyone that I've perceived to have done me wrong. And I can pretend to myself for a long time that I am accepting of the situation. What I've realized, in the last few weeks especially, because it's been live for me, it's been coming up through me, through tensions in my body, through, muscle imbalances and these sorts of things, is that I still hadn't truly got to the point where I can believe in that forgiveness, i.e. I've been holding on to the resentment, I've been holding on to the frustration, I've been holding on to the anger, and it's been causing me agitation in my body, it's been causing me anxieties and frustrations and overthinking within my mind. And as far as I'm concerned, this is just a fully natural process that needs to take its path, and I need to allow it to take its path. And same for yourself. If you have any hang-ups in life, any real observations of your own resentment, then going there within a journaling practice, just voicing for 20 minutes the resentful voice. I think I had a video not long ago about a journaling prompt, about something similar, really embodying what the anger feels like. And if you have chronic back pain and muscle tension, whether there is something in there that can help fuel any thoughts or feelings or emotions around the idea of having a resentment or even a hateful perspective to some aspects of your life, There's meditations you can do, and the way I'm doing that is to counteract the knowing inside myself that I have these feelings of resentment and hate, and then meditating on whether I can sort of change the record. Because the problem is with these resentful feelings and these hateful feelings, for me anyway, they've been sitting underneath the surface of my experience. So I've not been happy inside myself because underneath my, almost surface level of happiness, I not really truly felt in my body and my system. There's been it showed itself in a sense of just being a bit unsettled, generally not feeling very content with the way things are, despite the fact my impression of my life at the moment is pretty good. Underneath, there was this still lingering sense that I wasn't content, and it was bugging me. It was also causing frustration, because these resentments and hates that we build up when we're children, especially when we're younger, they begin to manifest as us hating ourselves. We have nowhere to put the anger. We've got nowhere to express it. Maybe it wasn't safe for us to express in the time where we were really feeling it, so it just goes inwards. And then through our lives, through my life anyway, the agitation of those unexpressed emotions began to show up as pain in my body. Now, of course, I didn't know this years ago. I'm going through this process as well, and I'm learning the layers that are there. And what's becoming clear is I need to try and change the habit, because it's the habit of resentment, the habit of being, let's say, super cynical. Maybe you're quick to judge others, maybe quick to judge yourself. Those sorts of behaviors are the things that are signs that there is some really deeper resentments and frustrations and hates that you also might feel guilty about. So, for example, you might feel guilty that you might hate something about your parents, but you might not be able to stop yourself from being frustrated about it. And that's, for me, is just my brain has been in the habit of being frustrated, underlying, and it's also been in the habit of hiding and not expressing these emotions. So I've been stuck on this loop, it feels, this underlying loop of frustration, cynicism, resentment, almost nihilistic, what's the point, blah, 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 these sorts of negative mindset perspectives, let's say. And it's not until I began to try and change that pattern. And to change the pattern, I have to recognize the hate and resentment and frustration, find an outlet. So either journaling or doing some breathing, stretching, self-talk at the same time, working with that emotion while being in motion can be helpful. And also then working with the opposite, meditating on kindness and compassion and forgiveness and love and appreciation for my parents, for other people who have done me wrong, and also myself, because I have to forgive myself for hating myself, for being so caught up with these emotions that I was unable to deal with them and handle them. So if this resonates with you, you can practice that. You have to connect to the hate and frustration first. You have to understand that likely your parents will be at the core of that, even if right now it might be hard for you to believe. You have to understand that you're a human being and that we have very deep, troubling thoughts and emotions sometimes, and it's scary. So our system creates pain to avoid the scary thoughts and emotions towards hate, resentment, cynicism, etc. So on that note, try some of those practices, try journaling, try self-talk, connect to the resentment. If you want a bit more of a background on it, read Dr. John Sarno's book, Healing Back Pain. It's a foundational work in terms of understanding what his perspective is on the mind-body connection and why pain gets generated when emotions are too difficult to handle. And with that foundation of education, connect to your soul and your spirit, and because you're not a fully hateful and resentful person, there's still the love and forgiveness inside you as well. You just have to tap into that, and it's quite difficult if maybe under the surface you've had the cynicism and resentment towards life for a long time. So be patient with it. Remember to be kind to yourself, and good luck. And I'll see you in the next one.